Well, Adebayo, this is your first CGI, so welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
And you are part of the 2024 CGI Greenhouse cohort this year, which supports social entrepreneurs around the world, connects them with social capital and the resources of this amazing CGI community. Now, you have a story, and I want you to tell your story because you didn't just wake up one day, decide to create RxAll. You actually woke up from a coma after 20 days because of what you experienced. So I want you to tell our audience, both in the room and those who are watching the live stream, how you ended up creating this really important technology now in use in Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya, with many more countries to come.
Thank you so much, Secretary Clinton, and I really appreciate the warm welcome to yourself, Dr. Chelsea, and President Clinton, and the rest of the CGI team. I'm really happy to be here to share about my story, about the work that I'm doing. I believe it's not just a representation of my work, but also a way to use the stage to talk about the work that impact entrepreneurs like myself are doing in very difficult areas like in Africa and other developing parts of the world to change chronic issues on the ground. My story started 20 years ago when I was growing up as a teenager in Nigeria. I lived in a low-income community where our local pharmacy was at the heart of our social lives. It wasn't just a place where we got our medications. It was a place where we also purchased groceries like water. It was a place where we hanged out socially, and where we even took quick credit to buy things that were too expensive for us to afford. One day, I fell sick, and as usual, my dad went to our neighborhood store to get me my medication. I used a dose that afternoon and another dose in the evening, and I did not wake up the next day. I had gone into a 21-day coma. I almost died, but luckily, I pulled through. But that's not a story for 100,000 Africans who die every year from this issue. And as I got better, my dad told me about how he had confronted the local pharmacist. Why would you sell us? You know us. We're part of this community. Why would you sell us a fake drug? And the pharmacist said, I'm so sorry, profusely apologized to my dad. He said, there's no way I would have sold you guys a medication. You're the pastor of this community. Why would I sell you a fake medication? And I'm so sorry that this happened. When my daddy pressed him to tell us who supplied him the medication, this was the most amazing thing. He said he did not know that he had so many suppliers and he didn't keep the proper records of who was supplying him what. I was 15 years at the time, and that message was a deep impression on me because I started to think of the millions of low-income families across Africa that relied on the pharmacy not just for medications, but for groceries, other daily needs. And if the pharmacists could not even assure the quality of what it was they were dispensing and selling, then who was safe across the continent? And so I made a decision that I was going to be a pharmacist, and I'm going to solve that problem. I qualified as a pharmacist, and then I took a policy and business degree from Yale and Harvard, where I told you I almost met you some years ago. And I started out RxAll, and primarily we are a data platform. And we use technology to help the pharmacists collect procurement and transaction data, aggregate it, and analyze it for insights. So we have three main components. The first is this device. It's a proprietary device. Shout out to Yale School of Management and the innovation ecosystem. They helped me take this idea that I had in the School of Pharmacy in Nigeria, but I didn't have the capital to make it. It was when I came to the School of Business here, I got the capital to eventually build this device. It's an AI spectrometer. It's proprietary to us, and it works with a mobile app on an Android phone, and you can do a quick test of the medication quality in 20 seconds to know if that medication is pure enough to consume.
Wow.
This is what this here does. And since we've been commercial with this product in the last 5 years, we've collected over 100 million data points on quality across 20,000 of the most used medication SKUs. and we've been able to aggregate and segment them. We have the high-quality medications and the suppliers of those medications and the low-quality medications. And that way, we point the pharmacies into the high-quality medications. On top of that, we built a POS register that records all of the transactions that the pharmacists sell to the patients. And that information is what is used to help with demand forecasting so that medications are always on the shelf. And just like you, Matt, we've built out a microfinance profile for all the pharmacies that use this. And we've helped to unlock financing, working capital financing, to 3,000 women-owned pharmacies that couldn't access capital from the traditional banking system before. That now happens through us. And the 5,000 pharmacies in our network get high-quality medications every single month to over 3 million patients each month. So that's our work, that's my story.
Can you, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Can you tell everybody, because you told me backstage and I couldn't believe it, how the percentage of fake medication?
Yes, 30% of medicines in circulation across pharmacies in Africa are fake.
Wow.
The government is doing a lot of work, but typically they're constrained with budgets. And the issue with pharmaceuticals is that it's a trade commodity now. Really, just like you can buy mobile phones, you can make it in China or India and ship across the world. It's the same way medications are being produced now. Anyone can go, make those productions, and get a license to sell in the local markets. So it's very difficult. Imagine you have a staff strength of 500 people. How do you police that? This is the big issue. So official numbers typically with the government tends to be a bit lower. It goes in between 13 to 15%. Unofficial numbers that have been validated by third parties puts it about 30%. Wow. We're still in double digits either way, and it's a big issue.
Well, I think, Ade, the point that you're making so strongly is the way that technology can now help us with these problems, but we have to make sure that, number one, it is of high quality,
yes,
and number two, people can afford it and understand it. And I want to go back to you, Matt, because when you were here in 2022, you said you wanted to leverage a $50 million investment from philanthropic capital to create a $1 billion investment portfolio to help 100 million more people across Africa, Asia, and Latin America get lasting access to clean water and sanitation, because it's really both, isn't it?
For sure.
So how's that going, and how's the partnership going?
Yeah, I realized I didn't answer that the first time, and you asked me. Yeah, no, so
it follows up on the interchange you two just had about how to do this.
So, well, again, for context, it's interesting. I'm remembering now that the first commitment we made here was in 2009, I believe, and that was to reach 50,000 people in Haiti. And we actually we beat that. We did well with that one. We were interrupted by the earthquake, but the subsequent year we met and exceeded that number. But to give an idea, the next pledge we made was to reach 100 million people, which is to give you an idea of this scale. So we've reached 18 million people so far. We're 100 million into that. Oh, I